Sometimes we are our own enemy as we do things intentionally to sabotage our success. Just so you know, success habits cannot be learned or attained without getting rid of the bad habits. On the show today, we will be looking at the topic, habits that destroy. And I'm not here alone, but hello and welcome, and thank you so much for joining me on another exciting time on Let's Talk. My name is Olujoke Mosako. My guest is Professor Nimi Wariboko, Professor of Social Ethics, Walter J. Mulder, Boston University, Massachusetts. Once again, thank you for watching. Thank you so much, sir, for coming on the show. The topic is habits that destroy. How would you define habits, and how does habits affect the functionality of a person?
Well, habits are things that you do over and over again. Basically, it means that you're habituated to it, that you keep doing it over and over. It has become your second nature. So basically, that's what habits are. Habits are not just things you do accidentally or things that you do once in a while. It defines the pattern of your life. It defines the style of your behavior. So when we add up your habit, all the habits that a person has, we have a sense of that person's behavioral pattern. We have a sense of that person's identity. We have a sense of that person's ethics. So habits are the roots of ethics, of social ethics. So and habit could be show up as virtues. Those are things that are good, and they could show up as vices. And so we have these different habits, and habits could also be habits of the mind, the way you think, the way you are oriented to a wall, or it could be the habits of the body, the way you carry yourself in public, or the way you carry yourself even in your house. You have certain your body learns the map of your house, and you have that way you navigate your immediate surroundings. So habits come in every way. We cannot live in this world if we don't have any habits, but we cannot always try to learn everything anew. So habit is also a depository of your learned past that helps you to navigate your presence and going forward.
So most people want to be successful but are not ready to cut down on excesses. Now let's break down the habits that destroy in the following areas, starting with productivity and career.
Yeah, let me say I could easily name 7 things that affect both productivity and career, and I think they are linked. And even sometimes I would say, even in terms of these 7 things, may also add to your reputation as a person, right? So one thing that I've discovered, if I want to speak about Africans or Nigeria in particular, but these 7, what I would call 7 bad habits, are also observable or discernible in different cultures. So it's not limited to Africa or Nigeria. One thing that I've found is the people have the habit of ignoring excellence, not pursuing excellence. And by excellence, I mean that anything that you are doing, you want to do it to the best of your ability. And for me, excellence is not a big thing. It's the next small thing that you do. Every small thing that you do are the things that you do at the margin. Do you do it to your best? Do you try to improve with that small thing in your company, in your writing, in your behavior, in whatever you are doing, activities that needs to be changed? Do you change it? Do you pay attention to those small details? Because those are the things that will make a work to be excellent or not. And for some of us, we don't have this habit of paying attention to details and also trying to do our best. We are satisfied with giving half measures or let something go rather than putting our effort. So if you don't try to do your best and do it to the best of your ability with the best available tools, then it will affect your productivity, it will affect your career, and to affect your reputation. Over time, people are not going to see you as somebody who is doing his or her best job. Another habit that I found, the absence of critical thinking. Over and over again, people are doing something without questioning the received wisdom or looking for alternatives. So, and I said, and habit, the thinking, of course, we all can think, but the habit of critical thinking that we need, some people don't exercise it at all. And so, somebody gives you something, you don't question it or so, and that will mean that you are not bringing alternative viewpoints. You are not exploring ways of improving what you are doing.
Okay.
And so people just do things over and over because it's a tradition, something that has been handed over to them, or because of a certain authority, they don't question or ask why certain things are being done. And if the reasons for which they are being done is now outdated, how do we do it differently? So if you don't have that kind of thinking and you get into a rut, that could affect your reputation, your productivity at work, and even your career. And then the third thing I would say, we have people also who are not committed to original thinking, original ideas or so. They're not thinking of how do I make contribution to what has been given to me or what has been handed over to me. How do I use the knowledge that I have so that I can come up with a new product, a new creative idea or so. And if you don't have a commitment to that, then you are never going to discover something, innovate something, or invent something, except probably it falls on you by accident. And also another habit, and this is actually a very dangerous bad habit that we have. Most of us go to universities and we come out in the workplace and we use the knowledge we have almost like in one way. And for many people that school in Africa or specifically a place like Nigeria, in the university system, a professor comes in, he gives you or she gives you ideas, he takes the notes for you or the textbook, and you go away. And in the exam, you are required to recall that knowledge that is given you. Instead of asking a question of training you to say, how do I apply that knowledge that I've got to my situation, to my environment, to the problems of my society, so that I can discover new things, I can innovate, and I can come up with creative ideas. So, and then we take that habit and we take it to the office. So in the office, what are we doing? We are merely recalling. But we forget that all the information or the knowledge that we're recalling, we are at some point, they were not there. Somebody created them. And so in the habit, so if you find yourself only trying to recall information and not to apply knowledge and ideas to a new situation to make creative observation or creative product. So that's an habit that could affect your career, could affect your productivity, and could affect your reputation in some way, because people are not going to see you as the original thinker or the worker in the office who will come up with a solution.
Okay, you actually delved into one of the other things I wanted to ask you, and I will just ask straightforward. What about lifestyle? You talked about reputation, so let's talk more on reputation and lifestyle now.
Okay, so I would probably then the next three things I was going to say about bad habits would hit on the reputation much more squarely in the bullseye. One is that one habit that destroys the habit of not keeping promises, right? That affects your reputation. If you tell somebody, I'm going to be there in your office by 10 a.m., and then you don't come, increasingly you're affecting your reputation as somebody who doesn't keep to that. People should not take you seriously because you can't keep your promise, right? Or if you tell somebody that I'm going to deliver this job to you, then the time comes, you don't do it. And oftentimes, most of us, when the time comes and we can't do it, we don't have the habit of communicating with the other person to tell him or her why I'm running late. Because for many people, promises are just things that they say. It doesn't bind them. But if you're somebody, if your promise is not a bond, if it doesn't affect you, and you are ready to give excuses or whatever reasons you have to avoid meeting up with your promise, is a problem. So connected to the issue of the promise is also the issue of forgiveness, right? So I'm still at the fifth point. So promise and forgiveness. If you keep to your, a good habit is to keep to your promise when you make to people. So don't be quick to make promises. But if you make promises, please obey or follow through with your promise, except the sky is falling down. Then, when it comes to forgiveness, you want to be also quick to forgiveness, because somebody angers you, you cut off all ties, you're not ready to forgive for every small offense, for every big offense. That is also an habit that people have that will affect their reputation, their career, and their productivity. Because if you are not forgiving, human beings make mistakes, right? And you want to be able to forgive, right? Somebody may make a promise to you and didn't keep it. You want to forgive that person, but you will hold yourself to a higher standard to keep up with the promises, because that is something that happens when you are somebody that doesn't keep a promise. Another thing that affects reputation, especially in where we came from in Nigeria, is this lack of basic respect for human dignity, right? So we will respect you because you are a big man or a big woman, you are rich or so, and we don't respect people for what they are as God's children, those created in the image of God, that they have basic, inalienable dignity that nothing can take from them. But we don't do, and so if you are somebody that people see that you are quick to please the guys at the top and discriminate or dismiss or abuse those that are below you, for me that is also a reputation, because easily it could be somebody they call the high pleaser. No, you just want to please people, and over time it will show up as somebody who is very disrespectful. Now, I mean, this is very important also for our country, for us to run a proper democracy, for our leaders to work, for our politicians to really know what they're doing. They have to have a basic respect for every Nigerian, right? That they have a basic, but we don't. And this kind of habit hinders almost everything in the country. We don't respect people without basic, because if you have a basic respect for human dignity, you as a leader will not embezzle the money set for you so that people could have decent school, they could have decent place to live, decent healthcare, you know. Sure. But it don't have respect for them, right? So this is an important issue. It's a habit that we have. It starts small at our individual level and it goes up, right? So even when it goes before the law, they treat you differently because they don't see you as being equal. But if we were all children of God and we all have this basic human dignity, at that level we are equal, and we are supposed to be treated as such. So we need to look at ourselves. And finally, bad habit that affects our reputation and also our productivity and other things is this question of lack of proper communication skills. We don't learn, many of us, so to speak, have not learned the basic communication skills, in the sense that when somebody talks to us nicely or in a bad form, we don't have a way of responding to de-escalate situation. Like at the drop of a hat, many of us wants to fight. And so if you are that kind of a person, it will affect your reputation. At the same time, if you are somebody who does not know how you talk to people, how you write email to people, whatever you do, that will affect your reputation, because there's a way you can talk to people, they will feel respected, they will feel loved, they will feel like they can do business with you.
All right, so let's just quickly go on this break, and when we come back, we continue from there. Stay with us. The program is still is Let's Talk, and the topic has been habits that destroy. Professor Nimi Wariboko has been giving us a whole lot of things that would be of value to us. Thank you so much, Professor. It's been wonderful having you here. As we continue, I know you are a professor and you teach students. So now, what are those things that students should look out for in order to be successful in their academics? The habits that destroy in the university or college, high school at all?
Many of what I've stated, the 7 things that I've stated as habits that relate to competence or skillfulness are also things that students need. Also, students also need integrity, just like the person on the street or the person in the office needs integrity of the heart, the honesty, the basic ethics, right? So students also need that. And that's why in the academic world today, at least I know very well in the school that I teach, Boston University, plagiarism is taken very seriously. If you plagiarize, you will be thrown out of the university. Normally, if you are caught plagiarizing once, then you go through a disciplinary committee, you get a warning, and that paper or that exam that you plagiarize, you either, the professor have the right to give you an F mark, whatever score that you did, or give you a reduced grading score for the first instance. But once you do it the second time, then you are thrown out of the school. And I've had cases in many American universities where people coming up for their PhD, they've written the dissertation, they spent 6-7 years on their PhD program, and they've written the dissertation, and it's run through a program that checks plagiarism. On the day or a day to the time of their defense, is flagged that they've plagiarized something in their dissertation, and at that moment they are thrown out of the doctoral program. Wow. With nothing to show for. They can't be given. So that is a pointer to the emphasis that the university or universities place on integrity, honesty. Because if you are going to say you've applied all these 7 things that I've said to write a dissertation, to write an exam paper, and you are saying that paper, that dissertation belongs to you, the ideas there belong to you, and we find out that you stole somebody's idea, then you are not honest. Yeah, for students we need integrity, but I'm increasingly noticing that in many universities in Nigeria, once again, to cite Nigeria, not that is the worst case, but that's what I'm familiar with, that people are not taught the seriousness of plagiarism. So they send papers to you, even scholars send papers to you, you find that they've plagiarized, they've quoted somebody without the quotation mark and without the proper references, they presented their ideas as their own. And so we have this, I mean, recently a video has been circulating where an head of state in Africa, a West African head of state, gave a speech, and people find out that bulk of that speech, he plagiarized the speech of President Bush Jr. and also Al Gore, one of Al Gore's speeches. And he began to wonder, how did that happen? That a head of state who is supposed to pay for the best people to write his speeches, they will just copy speeches of other leaders, and he will go there and say it, and now it's a big slap on the face of the country, and by implication for the rest of Africa. So you see, these 7 things that I told you, if they've paid attention to them, plus the 8th one, which is simply integrity of the heart, this kind of problem wouldn't have occurred at the highest level in that country. Even the writers do not have basic respect for the president, for his own citizen, that he could stand before them and read a stolen speech. Right? So you see, if you respect people, you're not going to say they're fools, they're not going to notice. Of course, the citizen notice, people not notice. See, this idea of not having respect, not you are giving something to people, you've not done your homework. You've not done all these things, and you just let it go. So these issues that I've raised apply not only in the university but also even in the political.
Okay. Now let's look at spirituality. Anything to look out for as a spiritual being?
One thing about spirituality is this issue of integrity of the heart. It's very important that we are honest in whatever we are doing, and we are not. Increasingly, many of us in the church are focused on, especially in the Pentecostal churches, on the pursuit of miracles. And whatever it comes from, we don't care. We don't question how somebody is doing that. We are just interested in it. And so it goes back to this same issue of not critical thinking. And some of us don't even have the habit of reading the Bible for ourselves. Somebody says something, we accept it. We accept the words of people based on authority of the speaker, our perceived authority of the speaker, not necessarily on the authority of the Bible. So we find that increasingly many people have this pragmatic attitude to Christianity. Oh, I'm there for whatever I can get out of it, or so. So they are not bothered by any form of habit. So even on a personal devotional time, people don't even have the habit of saying, okay, I'm going to wake up social time every day and pray. This is my quiet time with the Lord. So we don't have those kind of habit, and anything goes is there. So we have certain habits that also hinder our spiritual growth. We don't have the habit of, like the Berean Christian, taking what we've learned from our teachers and going home and studying it and comparing it to what the Bible says, right? And another issue about recall of knowledge rather than application of knowledge. Many of us read the Bible. Probably we are also taught by good teachers, but we never take the Bible and say, how do I apply it to transform my society? So in a place like Nigeria and Africa, where there's so many Christians and Pentecostals, but we at the same time also some of the most corrupt countries in the world. So what is it? So why have we not developed the habit of saying, what is it that I'm learning from the Bible that I could apply to my social situation to transform the lives of people so that human lives can flourish? Human lives could be better. So you see, this habit of not just recalling knowledge, but not applying it to our situation to discover, to innovate, to create, also comes into our spirituality.
All right, sir. And let's quickly talk about how we can replace bad habits with good ones.
Yeah, so the way to replace it is first to realize that the realization that I'm doing something bad, and how do I need to change? So all the things that I listed, I mean, the 7 points about skillfulness, bad habits that hinder our skillfulness or competence, and the issue of integrity. Then somebody can go through the list and say, well, I've had this man give this talk. In which area am I lacking, and how do I begin to make changes? And to realize that once you begin to make those changes, the changes, you're not going to see the result immediately, because habits by their nature has been there for a long time. But you got to stay with it and say, how do I gradually make the change? It also means that sometimes we need to seek out people as mentors, as friends, who can help us to get where we are going. We need to have friends who can look into our faces and tell us we are wrong. For many of us, we don't have people that can call us to order. We don't have people that can tell us when we are wrong. We have yes men and yes women around us. We like people who don't tell us anything. But each one of us needs to have a friend that would say, quote unquote, the wrong things to us that will eventually change us to the right way. So how do we encourage people in our meeting to speak their mind openly so we can learn? How do you have friends around you, brothers around you, sisters around you, mentors around you that can point out to you, this is a bad habit. You need to change. But if you don't know that it's a bad habit, how are you going to change? So that's why I like what you are doing in this program. Maybe there's somebody, even if there's one person, one child that listens to your program, watches your video, and learns something from our discussion today, I think is worth it.
Thank you so much, sir. It's really a learning time for me, and I've been able to also gain something, and I know that I have to go back and sit down, think about it. What are those habits that you have that can also hinder moving forward? Thank you so much, and I'm really grateful. I lack words actually to appreciate you. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, to you out there, thank you too for always watching Let's Talk. I hope you've learned something. Professor Nimi said something about communication. Communication is actually very key in every aspect of our lives. So before you talk, you think. And when you're doing the thinking, know how you're going to arrange your words so you won't get thrown out in any way or rejected in any way. So thank you once again. And please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Until next time, I remain Oluja Kemosaku. Bye for now.